من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. O you who believe, be aware of Allah with correct awareness and awe-inspired awareness, and die not except as Muslims. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. O you who believe, be aware of Allah and speak a straightforward word. He will forgive your sins and repair your deeds. And whoever takes Allah and His Prophet as a guide has already achieved a mighty victory. My dear brothers and sisters, today's khutbah is going to be just another reminder, considering we have just completed the month of Ramadan, and we tend to forget our habits and our habits right when the Ramadan is over. So I want to make sure that we get that reminder through, and also talk a little bit about the current events that are going on today. So, for some, this may be the first time that you deliver a khutbah. May Allah make it easier for all of us. Allah help us and protect us all with our loved ones during this difficult time. This COVID-19 virus, it will come and go. Many will fall ill and some will die. This is all in Allah's plan. And we must accept with good grace whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for us. If we are content with Allah's decree, then Allah rewards us even more from His limitless bounty. During Ramadan, we fasted for Allah, not for ourselves. We didn't stay hungry from dawn until dusk just to lose weight or to look slim or to look healthy. That was only a byproduct of our fasting. That's not the purpose of Ramadan. We fasted to show our love and our obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to get closer to Him. We fasted not just with our stomachs, but also with our ears, with our eyes, with our tongue, and with our heart. We avoided everything that would displease Allah. We fasted so that Allah would count us among His obedient, among His beloved servants. Fasting has also trained us and disciplined us. But now that Ramadan is over, what's telling us to stop doing all these things? The fact that Ramadan is over, we should now have a strengthened taqwa, which is a cautious awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in this state, it's very important that we do not slip back into the bad old habits that we had before Ramadan. We have to try hard to stay in this blissful state of nearness to Allah. This state is not only desirable during Ramadan, but also outside of Ramadan. This state is the state that we should all achieve or strive for. For one whole month, we have controlled our nafs, which is the self that inclines us to do evil, to listen to shaitan, to give in to the whispers of shaitan. And we've learned to tame our passions. We've seduced our attachments to food, to drink, and to other forms of pleasure. We've restrained our anger, backbiting, and rid ourselves of diseases of the tongue and diseases of the spiritual heart. We are now as close as ever as we could be to what the Quran refers to as the qalb salim, which means the pure or the sound heart. This is our entrance ticket for Jannah, Allah's eternal gardens. And as the Holy Quran declares in Surah Shu'ara, ayah number 88 to 89, the day when no one's wealth or children will benefit them except those who come to Allah with a sound heart, which is the qalb salim, and which is what Ramadan had allowed us or put us into the state of. No one in his or her right mind would want to lose this wonderful state of being. This is why we celebrated the day of Eid. Sadness that Ramadan, our beloved friend, or the purifier of souls, the much anticipated annual visitor, is leaving us. We don't know if we're going to be living another year until the next Ramadan. But in the meantime, let us try really hard to hang on to all the good habits that we have gained during this blessed month of Ramadan. Let's continue to cultivate this taqwa, to be cautiously aware of Allah in everything that you do. Let's continue to do the good Ramadan things throughout the year, not just in Ramadan. Many of us will follow the example of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the 6 days of Shawwal. We're still going through the month of Shawwal. So you can also fast the 6 days of Shawwal. It is said that someone who fasts the 6 days of Shawwal along with the 30 days of Ramadan, it's as if he has fasted the whole year. So that's another habit that we can cling ourselves onto. In one hadith, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that the best of deeds are the small ones, but the ones that are repeated often. And this is what I mean by the habits. It is so much better than the grand gesture that we may offer sometimes just for show or just once in a while. Small good actions, if we continuously do them, they grow into habits. And good habits are what are responsible for giving you or showing people your good character. A good character produces the qalb salim that we just talked about. And that qalb salim guarantees our place in Al-Jannah. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, let's not ever belittle even the smallest action. Helping someone who might need, even the smallest action just to help them. Allah takes account and magnifies every good deed, no matter how small it is. Remember the story that's also been told. There was once a lady, I think everyone's pretty much heard this story before, but there was once a lady who had been sinning her whole life. And one time she found a dog who was thirsty, and she took off her shoe, filled it with water, and gave it to the thirsty dog. Just because of that one little action that she did, regardless of the whole life of sin that she had done, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave all her sins and welcomed her into His garden. Never belittle even the smallest good deed that you do. Whatever may seem small to you may be very big to Allah and may be the one reason why you actually enter into Al-Jannah on the Day of Judgment. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. أما بعد. In the midst of our post-Ramadan celebrations and post-Ramadan time, let us not forget how differently the people of Palestine, the people of Iraq, the people of Syria, and the people of Yemen and Myanmar are going through. All the difficulties and the hardships that they're going through, even though this is a nice time for us, the weather is nice, and we have just completed Ramadan, we just celebrated Eid with our friends and family. So we sometimes forget how lucky we are. Whatever problems Muslims have over here, we should be grateful of the freedom and the security that we enjoy in this country. We often take our freedoms for granted. We know that there's prejudice and Islamophobia around us. We know that. Things could definitely be much better for us, and there's always room for improvement. But things could also have been a lot worse, as we can see what's happening in Palestine and other countries as well. So let's never forget that life has already become quite unbearable in so many countries, especially in the Palestine, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, in China as well. So Islam, with regards to that, Islam is not a spectator sport. It is not good enough for us to just sit around in front of our giant TV screens complaining and criticizing without lifting a finger to improve the situation. Some of us think that we're helpless, that the problems out there are too big and too complex. So we sit there and we blame others and we complain, but we do nothing. We have no excuse. We can help the wonderful humanitarian work of Islamic Relief and other charities that fund projects around the world. Not far from our comfortable homes, there are many hungry and homeless people. We can help the food banks and the soup kitchens. There are broken homes and lonely old people, as well as misguided young people. We can invite non-Muslim neighbors into our homes. Well, not necessarily now, but just show them that you are there for them and that you care for them, and that can do a lot for you. You can tell them about Islam and show them what a beautiful religion that we have. Never ever fool yourself into thinking that you cannot change things. Do not ever adopt an attitude a defeatist attitude where you don't believe that you can change anything. To despair and give up all hope is also a grave sin. Life is a challenge. It's a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah's help is always here. And He says that many times in the Quran, specifically in Surah Baqarah chapter 4, verse number 214. And with regards to that, there's this one really popular example. One learned sheikh once told the story of a hummingbird. The hummingbird flew back and forth with a few drops of water in its beak, trying to put out a big and large forest fire. The elephants, buffaloes, giraffes, and all the other animals looked on, and they were just amused and asked, how can a small hummingbird, which is about this much, like you, hope to put out a forest fire? The wise little hummingbird replied, I do what I can, that's all. Allah won't hold me responsible for the results. He will only hold me responsible for the efforts and my capabilities. In the face of all the world's problems, we may feel that we are like this little hummingbird, trying to quell the big fires and the big problems with only a few drops of water that we have. Our efforts may seem so small and so insignificant, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts His barakah into those efforts. And our tiny little efforts, they grow, just as little drops of water can grow to make a stream, and then a river, a flood, and then so on. And just like that, snowflakes, they can become an avalanche, and which is an irresistible force of nature that sweeps away everything in its path. So while we're talking about birds and elephants, do we not remember another story mentioned in the Holy Quran? Surah Al-Fil tells us about the year when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was born. Wasn't that the year of the elephant? And why was it named the year of the elephant? Didn't a flock of birds destroy an army of elephants that was on its way to trample the Kaaba in Mecca? Weren't those elephants so amused to see those little birds flying above them, dropping pellets of baked clay? Didn't they first wonder what a futility of such a sight? But Allah empowered those birds. Allah magnified their attack and gave them victory against all the overwhelming odds, against impossible odds. Isn't there an important lesson just from all these stories that we're hearing today? Allah will hold each and every one of us to account for what we could do within our capacity. So don't belittle the smallest good deed that you can do to relieve suffering and to provide for the basic needs of others. One of the great lessons that our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us is that we shall always work hard to fulfill the needs of others. Do not worry so much about yourself. Allah will take care of you and give you even more than you need when you start to care for other people. When he arrived in Medina at the end of his journey of Hijrah, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's first speech summed up a Muslim's life. He set out a full mission statement for us, which was, spread peace, feed the poor, keep your family ties, pray for part of the night, and you will enter paradise. Such a beautiful and succinct description of Islam in one short sentence. Spread peace, feed the poor, keep your family ties, and pray for the night, and you will enter paradise. So simple. Allah will always care for us as long as we care for His creation. We can and must help our brothers and sisters in Islam, as well as our brothers and sisters in humanity, not only Muslims, but anyone in need. Let's support charities that do these amazing works around us, projects around us in these disaster regions, in these countries that are going through turmoil. Let's also help local groups who are feeding the hungry and the homeless, as well as those who are working to demystify Islam, those who are working to build bridges of understanding and respect between Muslims like ourselves and our neighbors. I pray that Allah will help you and I become more active in bringing help to the most vulnerable people in our communities and abroad. I pray that Allah will protect us from the coronavirus and help us endure the big challenges that lie ahead. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله العلي العظيم يشكركم واشكروه يذكركم واشكروه يزدكم واستغفروه يغفر لكم واتقوه يجعل لكم من أمركم مخرجا وأقيموا الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.